Hi there, so this is a quick video overview of the T-8 Compact Groove Box by Roland. So this is a book that I've created for sale on Amazon, and one of the first reasons you might go and ask is, why don't I make it? So one of the things about the T8 is the internal memory for all the settings that you've got inside for the drums and for the bass are the whole project wide. So all 64 patterns, the sounds that you set up are based on all 64 patterns. So if you've got several different riffs or tunes or songs that have different settings for the drums, like the bass and the snare, and different reverbs and different delay settings, all those things, they're not stored with the pattern, they're stored as a whole product. So one of the things you need to do, one of the things I wanted to do, let's jump forward a bit, is have a look about the actual settings inside it. So in this page you can see on this side we've got all the drum settings that's inside a T8. Now if you don't own a T8 just yet, you think, well, it's a pretty simple looking unit, all you've got is like two pots and a couple of buttons and that's it. Well, hardware wise, yes you do, but once you dig into the menus, there's actually quite a lot of control per voice. So for instance, here are all the different sound sculpting controls you've got for the bass drum, then the snare drum, then the hand clap, which is also can be a tom, and then the tom channel itself, then the closed hat, and then the open hat. So you've got things, for instance, in the bass drum, you've got the level, the tune, and the decay, which you sort of get hold of via these actual pots here and the button underneath it. But then you've also got the gain of that, the pan of it, the attack, the overdrive on off, the overdrive level, the delay send amount, and the reverb send amount. And that's just for the one voice. Then you've got the snare drum and the hand clap and the toms and the hi-hats, blah, 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 blah. And in things like the snare drum, you've got the snappy setting, and things like the hand clap, you've got the colours, which so you can colour the sound differently, give it a more like a noisy type colour or not. And this, don't forget, this is product wide. This is for the whole of the T8. So if you've got songs that are different per sequence that you want to come back to, then you really need to note down what they are. So this is what this is all about. And over here is the bass section. So in the bass section here, you've got physical controls here that you might set up for the general sound. That's pretty easy to like replicate, I would think. But then you've also got your settings for the reverb and also the delay, because you might have a synced delay that might be 16 synced delay. You also might set up a side chain, so what's being the side chain, and then you've got some notes as well. So this really would be useful on a per project basis. So what I've got in here is I've got 10 of these. So you've got 10 different projects to save, and then however you want to relate them to the sequences, that's what your notes are for. So you might say that this setting equals bank D pattern 1 to 6, for instance. Yeah, that might be my settings for that, for all those different things over there. So that's what that's about. So that's the introduction. Let's go back to the beginning of the book while we're here. It's going to be a bit of an annoying video. It's going to take a while. So it's hello and congratulations and all that. So the other thing you don't get is you don't get a overview on the actual product of what memories are being used, what memories you've written. So when you get the T8, it's filled up. It's got like loads and loads of different example sequences, but they're not yours. So when you start writing yours in, where are they? Which ones are yours and which ones are your favourites? So what you've got here is 4 banks, each with 16 memories per bank. Yeah. So you can say that this has got data that I'm interested in, that I've put in, and then also you've got, do you have a favourite? So you want to keep it, you don't want to accidentally erase it, so you can like put a mark next to it. That's a quick overview of the T8. A couple of hints and tips, but Roland actually went ahead and fixed the manual, so it's a downloadable, readable PDF manual now. So I was going to do a manual, but like, well, they fixed that, so I moved on. So if you need the manual, go grab Roland's manual. Then we're into what we've just been discussing, the audio setup for the drums and the sequence area, for drums and the bass area, sorry. And then we get into sequences. So a lot of the time, the T8 on its own is okay for recording what you want to do. But if you want to get a bit fancy on things, it would be helpful to give you an overview of the entire drum section, because inside the drum section, if you don't own T8 yet and you're looking at it, it's not just, yes, on this step it has a snare drum, this step it has a bass drum. You can also dig in via the menu. You can put in, you have a volume pot, but you can also do a per step volume. You can do a per step probability of that drum being hit from 0 to 100. And then you've also got a ratchet, and you've got 4 levels of different ratchets. So you can have a per step ratchet, and you have each pattern is up to 32 steps. So these 2 pages equals 1 pattern for the drums. So after you've done the drums, you've then got your bass section where you have 32 steps, so 0 to 16, 17 to 32. You got your settings, what waveform are you using, and your accent level, and then you've got sort of a notes area. Then you've got a general overview that replicates a look at this. So if you want to put in what the actual volume pots are at, you can put them in as well, because they're not stored per pattern. Again, it's a product wide thing. It's a T8 wide thing on the actual memories. So you need to do that. And then you have basically the same idea over and over again for a whole load of patterns. I think there's 16. So there's a whole bank's worth of different patterns in here which you might use. I would say that you wouldn't necessarily use all memories just for one bank. This is for when you're doing more complicated things, where you want things with probability and trying to work out how to get various things to kick off at certain times. So you want an overview of the whole drum section that you can look at and go, well, I want to put that there. If I'm going to do that, then the hand clap, I want it to like come 2 afterwards, but I want a probability of 70% and blah, blah, blah. You can work it out all down here. You get a visual overview of all the drums all at once. Whereas on the actual product, you get a view of 1 drum at a time and 16 steps at a time, not 32 steps. So this might help you, yeah? I'm not saying you use it all the time, but if you need to use it, you've got it here to help you. Same with the bass section. Some of the time you can write it in yourself, but if you need to like replicate it and edit it and change it and muck around with it and work out what's going wrong, even though you've done some live playing, it's not quite doing what you want it to do, you can like dig in here and get into a per step overview of what's happening. So that's basically all of that, and that is basically your book. And at the end I've given a few more extra settings pages in case you sort of like, you need to. And that's your 100 pages. That's your book. If you can read the front of it, you can use this book. You don't need a German version or a Japanese version. If you can read the front of the product itself, you should be able to run the book. And that is me yammering on for ages and ages. That's it. So there's your book.